I pulled in to Luther Springs, the ELCA church camp up by Gainesville last week after a 2.5-hour drive. I unpacked my car, put my sleeping bag and suitcase in my room, and immediately headed for the lake. It was a peaceful walk down there. The sandy path that goes through the woods was covered in fresh deer tracks. I walked past the outdoor chapel and the Stations of the Cross, all with their holy little spaces set aside along the trail. After about 5 minutes, there it was, Lake Fanny. The famous dock that many of us know was in view. The water level was high. It was the only one there. The place was deserted. I walked out to the dock, slowly taking my time, appreciating the peace and quiet that I always find there. I looked out over the water. The lake had changed since my last trip. It had grown. Taking a deep breath, I sat down on a bench to take it all in. It was a holy moment. I knew it. As I sat there, I jotted down some notes. How far sound travels in the country. How alive the world is on this dock. A dog bark from across the lake echoes over the water, and the perfect silence is broken. How far the sound travels in the country. My ears perk up. What else is there to discover? An owl hoot. Bubbles from the movement of underwater life. A frog jumps in the water. Plop, splash. Listening closer now, I can hear the rumble of a distant highway. Now, not something that I want to hide, because it reminds me of how happy I am to not be driving on it at this time. The forest behind me settles with cracks and pops, reminding me of the sounds of an old house on a frosty winter evening. Fish surface to catch their dinner. I think that I can almost hear the concentric circles that mark the place of the kill. I start to play. A single bird replies to my attempt to whistle like a cardinal. There's a plane overhead somewhere. I can hear it, but it eludes my eyes. The squirrel laughs. It sets off the barking dog once again. As the sound waves settle, a perfect silence returns. This time, broken by the sandhill cranes announcing their arrival. I miss these sounds in my life, when I don't get to hear them every once in a while. It's good to know that there is peace still left in this world. A place where the simple sounds of God's creation can still be taken in. I don't know how long I sat there in my trance, but I do know that in that slice of time and space, I had experienced a moment with God. In that brief but deep encounter, I had been restored to a feeling and being that I had missed. This deserted place and this moment of prayer had been a time that I needed in a most desperate way. In our gospel reading today, we see the importance of escaping to deserted places, where we can find a place of peace, a place where we can more easily let go and allow God to heal us and strengthen us. Jesus did this very thing. The gospel says, in the morning while it was still dark, Jesus got up and went out to a deserted place and he prayed. If Jesus needed this, I guess we do too. Actually, this idea of rest isn't a strange thing in the Bible. Even God rests on the seventh day of creation. We all need rest. We all need balance. We all need Sabbath. A time to be where we want to be. A time alone with God to offer our praise, and a time to allow the restoration, Christ's work, to take over us. Most days, we are all in a hurry. We live in a culture that values progress as one of the highest virtues. The more you work, the more you have, the more successful you are. That's ingrained in our society. But Jesus is here today to remind us of the need for rest, the need for balance, the need for Sabbath. Jesus offers us a different way to live, one that mimics God's ways, in which there is a time for work and a time for rest. You all know that Ecclesiastes text. There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Well, I think that it's about time we took the word for what it says. It's time that we allow it to guide our lives and make us appreciate the life that God has shared with us. It's time to find the balance in life that we as a modern world are missing out on. It's time to stop thinking that it is our actions that make us who we are, and instead to give God the respect for making us and restoring us and loving us. It's time that we take a Sabbath and just appreciate the gift that is always here, life itself. We've spent a lot of time doing the other stuff. Now is the time to listen, to sit and allow the gifts of God to be uncovered in the silence of our lives. We need rest. We need balance. We need Sabbath. The Father did. The Son did. And so then do we. Now, in our gospel reading today, we see just what kind of impact this moment of silence and prayer in the deserted place had on Jesus. Amidst the battle and conflict, it seems that Jesus needed a moment of quiet rest and prayer. When he gets it, he jumps back up ready to move forward, re-energized. Jesus exemplifies in his own human life the rhythm and balance of work, rest, and prayer. He shows us how to be people. He shows us how it was all designed to work. Jesus gives us a new way of life. It is different than the life this world gives you. His yoke is easy. His burden is light. It is us and our society that puts the weight of the world on ourselves. So won't you take a page from Jesus' book and spend some personal time in a deserted place? Go into your place of comfort to sit and reflect and pray, and to allow God to do God's work for you instead of taking it all on yourself. You might just find that there is more to life there in that deserted place than you ever expect. That God has been waiting to restore you for a long time now. Let God work. Amen.